with a couple seconds there. Okay, we should be rolling right now, hopefully so. And right now, as let's get things so we can go on for a couple seconds here. All right, so I guess we're rolling right now. All right, and we are still rolling. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the new episode of WrestleManiax. We're live right now, myself and the great
Here with
YR.
Dr. Brown
Mm-hmm.
for
And the mighty YR. And
doing a little.
right now we're doing a subject that was discussed not once but twice before on this series of shows, WrestleManiax, that is. And the reason we're doing it again is because right now on the Vice TV channel, there's a kind of like a docu-series going on called "What Killed WCW?" World Championship Wrestling, and that series, for what I just heard, was very hot right now on that network, along with the other docu-series, Dark Side of the Ring. So right now, we figure we revamp that particular case of what killed this company, and I guess
Yeah, because there's like obviously like when the WWE Network came out, there's
yes,
all kinds of documentaries, and then there's been all kinds of DVDs and cassettes of documentaries of WCW, like the rise and fall of WCW. I think that was one on the network.
hmm
But this, just like you're saying with us, like we've talked about this on the show, you had Prince on and
yes,
others, Arc. But this is a current, you know what I'm saying? And look, we've pretty much because I watched all 3 episodes, and this thing is on Vice. So sometimes it might be hard to get if you don't have cable. You can, but eventually, I mean, right now, like I know for sure the first 2 episodes are on YouTube fully, and
yes. I saw
it's
one of
all
them.
it's yeah, it's only a 4-part series. So eventually the other two will come out, but um, and look, even if you just watch like 5 minutes of the first one, I mean, it's not like there's nothing. I don't know. Some people might learn some new things. I mean, there's a couple things I want to mention that I didn't know about, but I that's my first memory of wrestling. Dr. Brown is
WCW.
WCW,
Oh
NWO,
man,
Sting, everything. That's
I
my
remember.
first
I remember
introduction to
W.
wrestling.
I remember WCW back in the last 2 years of the 1980s. That's when that's. I figure it was a name change because around that time it was the original NWA, National Wrestling Alliance, and I figured it probably had to change the name because of the rap group NWA.
Okay, Dr. Brown, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
sound like a dick,
hmm
but I would just make the statement. Are you having an issue with, or do you not like the thumbnails I make?
I do like them, but the problem is, there was only one made. If you're going to have a thumbnail made, you're going to have to make a different one for yourself on your channel because I know you record your episodes and you broadcast them on your
I mean,
program.
it doesn't like it's not a big deal. Like, do you want yours to be different then? Do you want your thumbnails to be
Yeah,
different
because
than mine?
it would be confusing to the viewer of the products, your and our products.
We'll use that one that I made
I
you that I
will
made this
definitely.
for, and then I'll make a different one for me. But
Okay,
I
I
didn't
will
know
do
that. I
so.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that because
yeah.
when you draw on the thumbnail, it's just doesn't look that professional.
I
And I
know
like
that,
making the
but then
thumbnails
again, I do not have that option on my computer where you could put
to make
lettering
them
or
right.
fonts. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
like what you have there.
I like making them, and I'll make them different. I
All
didn't
right.
know, you were um, you're not mad about it or nothing,
No,
are
I'm
you? I
not
mean, you're
mad
not.
about it.
It's
No.
just you just want it to be like different, so people don't confuse. I got you. I'll make it Dr.
Okay,
Brown
gotcha.
style, and I'll still make it nice and pop and everything because I like making those thumbnails. You know
I
what I'm
know.
saying?
Yes, I realize that. I do appreciate that, man.
So no, it's all good about that. I was just wondering. Um, like there's a point in the series, because obviously the first two episodes, it's kind of mainly Eric Bischoff and like how WCW's got started.
Yes.
This third episode, it's about um, Vince Russo.
Yes.
Now,
The powers
I
that
was
be
thinking,
era. Yeah, and with the new
now,
blood period.
now I don't know what. I'm trying to think 2000. I
Now
mean,
for
maybe I
those who are
wasn't.
now for those who are questioning why are we constantly talking about what killed WCW? Well, the reason is simple. All the shenanigans, the politics, and possibly the drama that went on within this company, you can't help but keep listening to over and over because I mean there was a lot of crazy shit that went on with this company. I mean, like, aside from Hulk Hogan giving creative control as part of his deal with the company, along with Eric Bischoff, spending way too much money on the contracts for Hall, Nash, and everybody else, Savage, you name it, along with Hulk Hogan as well, along with the crazy ass ideas that Vince Russo came up with when he got jumped on board for the company between the last couple of years.
See, they don't mention at all, really, and I don't really know the story of Macho Man coming into WCW.
Yeah, I guess,
Obviously, he was with. I remember he was with WWF, all that, blah
yeah,
blah blah, Hulk Hogan, the Mega
yep,
Powers, all that,
yep,
right? But
yeah,
like, I
exactly.
wonder what year. If you can you look that up real quick? What year Macho Man came to WCW?
I, excuse me, I think it may have been possibly 1994 because
Yeah,
his
that
last,
sounds right.
yeah,
Yes.
let's give it there. Because obviously his last stint with the WWF was doing commentary along with Vince McMahon on the various episodes
Yes.
of Monday Night Raw. And during one episode, Vince made the announcement that Macho Man is no longer involved with the company, that they wish him well. And before we go further, do you think Macho Man was booted from the company because of this rumor that he was involved with Vince's daughter, Stephanie?
Well, I got to see like the timeline, because wasn't Stephanie like
Nobody knew
not
who
in a
nobody
wasn't
knew who
yeah
Stephanie was around that
wasn't she
period.
not wasn't she not an adult in the mid 90s or
And during
earlier
well
when
in the during the later half of the 1990s, during the Attitude Era, that's when we first got wind of
I
her,
know
who she is.
I'm saying when was this rumor that Macho Man was with her or whatever, like in the 80s?
Well, I guess it was probably around that period that I just mentioned, around 1993,
Yeah,
1992.
but wasn't she like not over 18 on that?
She
Or
no,
was this
actually she was possibly 17 around that time.
what?
Yeah.
I never heard of those rumors,
Oh, you gotta definitely
but
look it up. Look it up here on YouTube or on the Wikipedia or the internet. It was like the
so
legend that won't die. Definitely look
it's one
that
of
up.
those wrestling rumors.
Yes.
So when I'm trying to think, like 2000, I don't remember when I got, because Pokemon, I got into really, I really got into Pokemon, like buying the cards or whatever
Hmm.
at a point, and I really can't remember any of that Vince Russo era WCW.
Oh, I
Brown,
do.
I
I
cannot.
do.
I mean, obviously seeing the clips and blah blah blah, right? Like the
Oh,
Dr. Brown on a pole match or whatever, all that fun
oh
stuff.
yeah.
But
You mean the
you know what I'm
powers that
saying?
be?
Like,
You mean the powers that be? Period.
I was definitely watching WWF at that time.
Right.
I have to say, like,
I wasn't able to watch the WWF because of my work schedule at that time, and TNT Network, they would replay the episodes of both Monday Nitro and Thunder later on towards the evening, around after 11 p.m. So I was
yeah. But
able to
when
watch both
did you
shows.
have like, if you had like Christmas holiday, did you watch wrestling on like holidays or days off, even?
Well, it all depends on what day on. Well, if I were to
Because
get off,
you have a knowledge on wrestling, like obviously what goes on now, like character wise,
Hmm.
and all the rest. Like you, at some point, you would have. When did you really like could have watched it a lot though? You think?
I watched a lot of wrestling. I remember watching
You know.
other than just WCW, WWF. I was watching old NWA with Magnum TA, Ric Flair, the Anderson brothers, Dusty Rhodes, Tully Blanchard, Baby Doll. I also remembered the AWA, which was ran and operated by Vern Gagne. They were briefly on the ESP network for a short while. And also remember the USWA, which came on one of the local syndicated TV stations. I used to watch that in the later afternoon on Saturdays. That's when we heard about Wolfie D, JC Ice, Superstar Bill Dundee, and of course Jerry the King Lawler. Who at that time was the good guy within that ranks, even though while he was the bad guy commentator for the WWF.
All right. So, did you? I'll throw a couple questions at you.
Mhm.
Um, did you? Now, look, I'll give you my little thing real quick.
Okay.
So, watching all three episodes, already knowing, we kind of already know the story with WCW, right? But
Yes.
I mean, Conan, is in here.
Hmm.
Kevin Nash, um, obviously Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff. Now they're separate; they're not talking together or nothing. And
No.
Eric Bischoff is smart. I don't know if Vince Russo's doing this right now, but like every episode after it was, I think they did some during it, but for sure they did it after they went live after the episode, like because it's every Tuesday. So like last
Yeah.
night, the third episode was live.
Yeah.
So after the show on Vice, Eric Bischoff goes live on his channel,
Hmm.
83 weeks
Uh-huh.
or
His
82
pod,
weeks,
83
yeah, one of the
weeks. That's what it's
83
called.
weeks,
Which, by the way, was named
and
after the length of time WCW ruled over the WWF, TV ratings wise.
and he he's smart on that. I mean, he gets donations, to take questions and everything, but like from his point of view, because his podcast co-host is Conrad Thompson, who
Yep.
also does. He's
Shows
a
the Ric
podcast.
Flair,
He does Ric Flair's show, and then he does Jeff Jarrett for sure. I know, and probably more.
along with also with Arn Anderson.
There you go.
Hmm.
Um, so what he was saying, I mean, basically, it was someone who donated this question, right? Would you ever sit down or be on a podcast with Russo? And Eric Bischoff basically like can't stand Russo. Basically, he has no interest in sitting and doing anything with Russo,
Yeah.
hashing anything out. Blah blah blah. He just thinks he's an idiot, and he uses that word. He's an
Yeah.
idiot. He's annoying. All this stuff.
Yeah. No.
Now, for at least 3 years, I did subscribe to Vince Russo's brand
Hmm.
because he did a show with Disco, which was really entertaining.
Disco
So good that
Inferno, Glenn Gilberti.
yes, so much that we know that, Brown. What do you? This is a wrestling community. People don't know all this. Glenn Gilberti.
Hmm.
Maybe not his real name. He did dox him right there. I mean, I wouldn't.
No, it was revealed a long time ago, a couple years back to be
Nah,
exact.
I'm just teasing. I'm just playing around.
I
So
know, yeah.
listen. So this is important. This is good. So this is kind of getting me back into wrestling. I'm not gonna lie. Like the Wyatt stuff the other night. I don't know if
Yes,
you saw any of that.
I saw that
Looked kind of
segment. It pretty.
corny. No, I didn't see it live, which was a mistake. But I did
Neither did
like go
I.
back and maybe that affected it. But like it did seem a little corny, like the blood on the wall, like splattered on the wall in the back, like that looked
Yeah,
really fake.
yeah, we know that.
But I see what they're going for. But like, I mean, I guess like it would have been better if I saw it live. I think. But anyways, so Bischoff wants nothing to do with Russo. Now, I don't mind Russo. I like Russo. Now, Russo co-wrote basically all those Attitude Eras. You know what I'm saying? With Ed
All right.
Ferrari on that,
Yes.
and people don't bring that up. They just bring up that he was horrible in WCW. I find
Yeah.
Russo very entertaining. personally, like
He
podcasts and
was,
everything.
yes, yeah, I agree.
Um,
I watched a lot of, I listened to a lot of his podcasts when he was involved with Podcast
he
One
gets a lot of
myself.
he gets probably like next to like Ryback, Russo, Ryback, like they get like a lot of hate in the wrestling communities.
Yes, I know.
Like Russo really gets a lot of hate. Like and if you weren't like, it was different. Like when I was like a child back then watching that WCW stuff, wrestling in general, like
Yeah,
it. I mean, even up to, I don't know, 10 years old, it was it. I don't know. Like I don't can't figure out what age. Like I can tell you that I figured out like it wasn't fake, but
yeah,
probably young like that, right?
yes,
You know that shit seems so. I mean, it was my life, Doctor Brown. Wrestling was
yes.
my life when I
I
was a child.
understand that.
Bottom line.
Yes.
I mean, look, when like the N64 came out, the video games, you know, that was my first thing, first video game. Like that was, I was into that. I mean, it was wrestling games on that too, by the way. You know, WCW, Revenge, all
Yes.
those ones. And see, that's the cool thing about that doc is I believe it's the same creators of Dark Side of the Ring.
Hmm.
It's like produced by The Rock or something. He has something to do with it for sure.
Yes, Dwayne
Production
Johnson.
company or
Yeah,
something.
he's part of
And
it as well.
and yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh, they like N64, the controller, right? Like they show these scenes of like them playing the video game, like WCW Revenge,
Hmm.
WCW World
Yes.
Tour. I think they
Yep.
are playing Revenge actually, but so they show someone like playing that. It's part of the whole scene. It's pretty cool how they're doing this. You know what I'm saying? And again, if again like Vice is like hard to find, I guess. Like if you don't want to pay, like you can pay for the app and see all this stuff if you pay for it. If you have the cable channel on TV, it's all
Yes.
it's I watched it live last night. And then Brown, I sent him the link on YouTube. Just look it up on you. It is
I
really good,
did.
guys.
Yes, I
Like
remember.
I
Yeah.
know the WCW story we've heard a million times, but this is different. This is current takes from like these wrestlers that were there at the time for real. Your Kevin Nash's, your Conan's,
You.
your Eric Bischoff's. I mean, like, and my point is, and I'll hand it over to you, is I can't put a finger on who killed WCW. Like Bischoff, he's the farthest from who killed it. Eric
Yeah.
Bischoff.
Yeah.
He's the one who like kind of was the brand, even though he technically stole like the NWO thing from like Japanese TV or something
He
like
did.
that.
Yes. Exactly.
So you know what I mean? Like he still made like NWO, like he still like it was popular more here, like with all that eventually. So like there's a lot of credit for Eric Bischoff, and I always
He is
liked Eric Bischoff. I always was Eric
a
Bischoff fan.
Detroit native, by the way.
And on I can't really say for Russo, like I wasn't watching. I can't remember any of that Russo era stuff for WCW because I was watching WWF at that point for sure. I went to that like I think didn't he? I don't know. That was like 2000
Yes.
when WCW ended.
It was in
So like
2001.
so was it 2001? So yeah,
Yes.
I went to WrestleMania that year for 2001
Hmm.
for 17, and that was WWF. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I was into WWF at the time, but like I probably was watching both, but like I just can't remember any of the WCW from the 2000 era. I do remember now. I would say like Vince kill. I mean, I don't want to use. I don't want to even say like who killed WCW. It just like basically like it got bought. Like Vince McMahon bought it, and
Yes, he did.
it melted. It
Yeah.
melted. Like I guess Vince McMahon killed it. Then if like that's who I like WWE was way better than WCW in the year 2000. We get that.
Well, there were the ones. Let
Now
me
The Rock was
go ahead.
popular, Stone Cold was popular, Kane, Undertaker, all that was so big. Brown. Go ahead, brother.
Yes. Well, the reason why the WWF became a lot more successful than WCW here afterwards because Russo, along with his writing partner Ed Ferreira, came up with a lot of good storylines. And of course, if I understand, they also beat it out Jim Cornette. He was trying to get that head writer's position, but when that didn't happen,
Oh,
Cornette was disgruntled. He
Carlos
was
Cabral.
angry. Yep, Carlos. Go. Yeah, let's get Carlos on the call. If you want to join the call, Carlos,
Which
let
is
us know.
yeah. Well, do you have his Skype? I don't have his Skype.
Let me see if I can find the dude right now. Give me a
Yeah,
couple
add him in
minutes.
here. I don't know if you saw. I did a Carlos Cabral interview. I guess it was last week or two or so.
All right.
Added to the interviews, Carlos Cabral, big hit. A lot of people telling me, man, that was a great interview with Carlos.
I know I listened to
He's a
that
good
just
brother.
as well. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Now the thing
That
with
was like
the
my favorite interview. To be
all right.
honest with you.
Now the thing with Russo and Ferreras because he came up with a lot of interesting ideas. And around that time, anti-establishment was the main thing that wrestling at that time was going for because the 1990s itself was anti-establishment, as we all know. Like the traditions, the values from the 70s and 80s, they were like out the door. So they had to they had to go with what was going on at that time, which was basically it was they wanted to go into let me give you a second there. They were trying to get themselves it was trying to go with what was going on at that time because as you know like the Hulkamania was dead, people were starting to boo Hulk Hogan, they were getting tired of it. So and plus at that time Hogan admitted that he was it was revealed that he did do steroids and a lot of Hulkamaniacs were not happy with that. So as a response, people
Hey guys,
start,
what's up?
"Hey, Carlos, what's going on, bud?
Hey,
How's
what's up,
everything
brother?
going? We saw you in our chat. We
Uh,
decided we'd like to add you to the show here, talk about WCW and such."
oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was on my way
Have
home
you,
doing groceries.
Nice.
Carlos? Have you
So
seen that WCW documentary on Vice yet? This is a four-part
I,
series.
I haven't seen it yet, but
There's
I'm
two. There's
going
two
to see it
episodes.
when I get a chance.
I saw
Yeah,
the
first
first
two
one.
episodes is
Definitely
on.
worth checking out.
The first two episodes is on YouTube for free. It's kind of hard to find, like if you're, because Vice is a TV channel, so it's not like
Hmm.
they're putting it out for free. But on YouTube, it's out there, and it is Brown. Brown? You watched the first episode. Tell us about like what you saw. Like,
Basically, it told us how WCW came about in 1988. It also came to reveal the situation that was going on, how they got Hulk Hogan, how they got Kevin Nash, the idea for the NWO. He also came up with the idea for this and how it took off. It did, overcoming the WWF from 1996 to about I guess 1997 or 1998 when the Attitude Era started. It also showed how successful in merchandise that the WCW had with the NWO gimmick. I mean, it fits to say that the NWO, the reason they were so big was because simple fact that here was one of the top heroes in pro wrestling turning to the dark side of the force. Yeah, people were shocked. We were amazed by what
Hey
we
guys,
saw.
I'm gonna call you guys back. I'm gonna join you guys. I just got a call. I'll be back in the show as soon as I'm done.
All right, there. We look
thank you,
forward to
brother.
it. Yeah, be definitely join in on the call when you're done. Okay. All right.
Thank you, bub.
All right, there. Thank you, Carlos. Carlos Cabral, ladies and gentlemen. But going back to the NWO, the reason that took off so well is because a lot of kids at the time identified with the screw same old traditional, screw the same old
Yes,
values that we were taught as kids. Screw what your mom and dad told you and taught you. This was anti-establishment, and the NWO was indeed anti-establishment. The whole
that's who
1990s was anti-establishment.
and Brown. That's what I believe NWO was before DX. DX copied off of that, and the band,
Hmm.
not System of a Down. What's the band? Bulls on Parade. What's the band?
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, didn't they do DX's theme song?
No, no, the guy who did the DX theme song was a man named Jim Johnston. He also did the theme music for Austin, The Undertaker, and many others. He was the main man behind those themes during that time. those iconic wrestling themes. And he continued to do so for years until he got let go a couple years back. But going back to the NWO, it fits to say that the NWO, and I mentioned this before, were the Sex Pistols of pro wrestling. And Eric Bischoff was their Malcolm McLaren. Now, Malcolm McLaren, as you know, was the manager of the Sex Pistols who came up with the idea for this group. And Eric Bischoff is kind of did the same with the NWO. And the fact that Hulk Hogan was the third man to take on Luger, Anderson, and a couple other wrestlers, Sting and Savage. It was like a shock to everybody's system. I remember watching it, the pay-per-view event on the what did the TVs at a place called Lipsticks on that Sunday evening when it was broadcast there.
What?
Yeah, it was. It happened on Bash at the
You
Beach,
gotta pay.
1990. No, it was on. I
You gotta
was at
pay
a place.
cover for that.
No, it was like it just they just had it on the TV. It was free to get in on that those nights. It was a Sunday evening, and when I saw Hulk Hogan in the ring with Hall and Nash, with all this garbage being tossed into the ring, all the booze, we were like, "Holy cow! I can't believe it! Hulk Hogan turned to the dark side." Now the following evening, I guess word spread around of what just happened. Hulk Hogan was the third man all this time, and of course they had to replay the whole thing on the various repeats and stuff. And
Now,
the wrestling world was
when
kind
I
of
was
shocked.
brought
Go ahead.
when I was brought into that, I was like my earliest memory is like the bogus Sting, like the
Your crow
like
sting.
early, yeah, like when he first came out, basically, yeah.
Yeah, that other than the NWO, the Crow version of Sting would have be alongside probably the other best gimmick that came
Like
about, and that was the guy. Yeah.
that's my earliest memories is like Sting, Hogan,
Yes.
Goldberg, obviously.
Hmm.
Like I remember,
You
I
remember Sting? What before
distinctly
all that? Before you remember Sting when he had the
no,
Bart Simpson haircut and the
no.
when he wore a lot of colors
I
and his ring
that's what I'm
attire?
saying. I started watching during that point though, so
Oh, you
I didn't
definitely
see.
go to
Obviously,
Google
back then I couldn't.
Images. Definitely go to Google
Well, I know.
Image.
I'm
Yeah.
Brown. I know. I've seen him before, Brown. I've seen
Yes.
him when he looks like Brown.
Yes. But
Have
if
you seen what he looks like?
yes, I've seen. I remember what
Did,
he. I seen him what he looked like way back then when he was
you
part
saw
of
that
the
thing with his?
NWA.
You saw that thing with his sons in the in AEW, his last match. Like his sons came out dressed like that, dude. Did you see that?
Yes. Oh, yes, I did see that. Yes, like
Thank
it
you.
was. That this was his very credit to Sting for giving all of us how many
That was
years in the
good.
squared circle. Yes.
And I met him. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yes, that was a long time ago. Yeah.
I got the bat. I got the Sting bat over there
Night,
by the mat.
night. All right. Now, it was apparently Scott Hall who came up with the idea for Sting to go crow mode. I guess the idea is like Sting. There's a fake Sting in alongside Ric Flair, Lex Luger, and Arn Anderson to take on members of the NWO. Later on during the match, the real Sting comes in, and then all of a sudden, the big hullabaloo happens. I got distracted by ambulance outside, and then all of a sudden, they're mad at the real Sting. The real Sting is like, it's not me. It's not my. It's not. No, it's not me. But the team that I just mentioned, Anderson, Flair, and Anderson, Flair, and Luger, they don't believe this real Sting, and so they outcasted him. Everybody's going after him left and right for turning with the NWO. Sting comes out the following night, gives a promo, and said he's now considered himself a free agent and walks away. And then Sting later pops up dressed as a crow, but with a kind of like a similar makeup job. And next thing you know, he's a silent, anti-hero, vigilante type of guy, but with a baseball bat, a black baseball bat, wearing black. Even Bobby Heenan said it best. Talk about a big transformation. I remember this guy when he had a Bart Simpson haircut, and now he's all dressed in black. And you got to admit, it was probably one of the coolest ideas ever. It was. And that the whole thing lasted
Did
for
you
how
ever
many
own
years?
a Did you
Mhm.
ever own a NWO or DX shirt?
Now, I did have an NWO shirt. I
Really, the
did,
black and white one?
more like later on the black and red one when they formed
I did.
the Wolf
That's
Pack.
the one I had too. That's
All
the one
right
I
there.
had. Now the Wolf Pack, people like shit on it, but I was into the Wolf Pack. Like that was pretty cool, man.
Oh,
It was
Wolfpack
like,
was huge. It was more huge than the NWO Hollywood.
you think, but that you would say that?
It was because I remember being in the store and I had the one of the original black and white NWO shirts. It was like, is that a NWO Hollywood shirt there? I said, oh man, bad for you. And I was
And
walking in Royal Oak one time back in Michigan, and some kid just out of the blue said, NWO Hollywood sucks, right to me. And I was like, excuse me, young lad? But I didn't say anything. I just kept on walking because I realized it was just a little teeny kid. He didn't know better.
did you? Now this is probably 99, 2000.
Hmm.
Remember that movie? I think it was 2000. Remember the movie that came out with
Which, David Arquette?
yes, Ready to Rumble. Have you seen that?
Yes, I remember that movie. I didn't see that, unfortunately, because it always pees me off when they put wrestlers in the ring in movies, like Hulk Hogan's No Holds Barred, along with that individual, Tiny Lister was his name, the actor who passed away
Yeah, I mean
a
some
couple
of
years
it, like
ago.
the only good that Longest Yard was okay, right? That was pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah,
The new one.
with
But you're
Adam
right,
Sandler and Bill Goldberg.
like you and The Rock, like what, like Scorpion King was the
Yeah,
first.
yes, that was. I
Like
believe
that
that
was
was
pretty
in the.
big. I'm not gonna lie, like Scorpion King, there was a lot of hype with Scorpion King.
It was,
It
yes.
was all about Scorpion King, Scorpion King, Scorpion King, like for a while. Um,
Before that, there was the Mummy Returns. The Rock was involved in that movie, playing the same character, and that's what where the film career of Mr. Johnson took off eventually. From then on, Johnson became one of the big draws at the box office for his acting, his muscles, his skill, and plus, along with these skills that he brought from the ring to the movie set. I mean, the last person who did that was Roddy Piper, who we got talked to about, because he joined WCW during the NWO period. He brought some of his wrestling skills when he was filming the movie They Live, the movie by John Carpenter from
now, uh,
1987.
now they in the, I think it was the second. I think it was the second, brother. The second episode,
Hmm.
they talk about, and this has to do. Paul 3, how you doing, honey?
What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
You look
You're
like Jesus Christ, man. You do. But Paul 3, how do you get your beard like that? Like, do you use a razor with shaving cream, or do you use an electric razor?
I use nothing, bro. I just let it grow out, and then
No,
eventually.
you shave your neck though. Like, what do you use
mm,
on your neck to get rid of your? Yeah, you don't grow. You grow hair down there or no?
No, no,
What? I
no.
do like crazy, bro. My whole neck has. What about brown? Do you have hair on your neck you have to shave ever?
I do, yes.
See, like you have a. That is pretty cool. Paul 3, you have a natural beard. You don't have to like Dr. Brown. That is, we have to give it. We have to give Paul 3, some kudos on that.
Yes,
He does have
definitely.
the look.
Yes,
So
that
Paul
is a
3, do you want
unique
to?
Duke, I see.
Well, Paul 3, you'll be with us tomorrow for the music show, right?
Yeah, I should be. Do you know
Sweet,
what time?
yeah. So get your Sabbath knowledge because we'll be talking about Black Sabbath tomorrow night. That's for sure. I sent YR a couple couple of the clips that we definitely got to talk about.
Well, there
That
is a
sounds
lot of
good to
music.
me. I'll watch
There is
that.
a lot of music news, Brown. Though we do,
Yes.
there's a ton of music news. There is a lot of important stuff. But Paul Three, what is your opinion on? And I don't even know. And it would really, I would mark out, and it would surprise me if you did see this. But did you see or hear about this Vice TV WCW documentary?
Yeah, the Who Killed WCW. I actually
Yes.
watched the first episode. I watched it and it was pretty
Yes. See.
catch up on the other
Yep.
ones. I think there's 2 or 3 out right now, but
Yes.
the first one was good.
Well, look, the second one is on YouTube too, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, the third one came out last night. I watched it, but I think the third one is the best one out of all so far because you get Vince Russo his takes, but you get Bischoff still too. Like they just add Russo into there basically. So like it is pretty cool. Now they're not together or nothing, but it is pretty interesting to see all that. And I am glad that Paul Three, see Brown, like this is popular, man. I haven't heard no one bringing this thing up. This is now look. There's a lot of Dr. Brown. There's a lot of
Yes.
WWF fans in this community. There's more WWF fans WWE than WCW, in my opinion. And it was
Yeah.
two different fucking things back then.
It was.
Like it's not. It is kind of like it's kind of like the AEW thing now, but it's not because like WCW was actually like popping, bro, for like a long time, like for real. Like Sting, everything, all those characters on TV, like on shows, like for real. Like you don't see AEW characters on TV and shit, like on talk shows and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like this is,
Hardly.
it's the same, but it's the same with AEW, but it's different. Like it's similar. It is like I can't because when I watched AEW at first, right when it first came out, I was like, dang, this is kind of like WCW, bro. It's kind of like the production value is not as good as is WWE, but it's like it's cool though. It's like we'll see, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty cool, but eventually it got kind of watered down and everything. But like WCW was,
It was the thing back then to watch.
it really was huge,
Oh,
man. Like I cannot believe Dr. Brown. You, Paul Three, did you have an NWO shirt or did you have DX shirts? Like what?
I have a Wolfpack shirt. I had definitely some
Wow.
So did I.
W, but
Yes.
my best friend growing up, we were both wrestling fans, and I was the WWF fan. He was the WCW fan. So I'd go over his house some nights, and they'd be watching Nitro or they'd be watching Thunder and shit like that. But I mean, I was always flipping back and forth, but I was definitely more WWF.
Mm.
But I had all the WCW video games. I knew all the wrestlers. I knew like everybody involved with WCW. I knew all the angles and all that shit.
Yeah. What was your favorite when you watch WCW nowadays? Which stands out as your favorite? The NWO, the Crow Sting, or Raven and members of his flock, or whoever there? Who was your favorite if you ever watch WCW nowadays on YouTube and such?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you say that. Like I could easily say, oh, the NWO. I could say the cruiserweight division. But
Mhm.
I actually put, I think it was Road Wild or something like that, from
Hog Wild.
1990.
Mm.
Hog Wild,
Yes.
yeah, where they were in Sturgis. I put
Yep.
that show on not too long ago, and I just enjoyed seeing a bunch of like guys that I haven't seen in forever, like Perry Saturn and shit like that. Guys, just Rick Steiner and
Now
stuff.
look,
So
Yeah.
this is a signed Sting bat. This is real.
badass.
And what makes it unique is the
Nice.
marker.
Sweet.
The marker wasn't like working at first, so it's kind of like a double signature. Like he had to like write over it, so it's
I
kind of
see.
unique.
Nice.
That's cool.
Awesome.
And
All
look,
right.
Sting
It's
was always my
collector's item.
favorite, but I like the NWO, bro. Like I, Look, like when did Macho Man come in? Paul 3. Do you remember that?
I think it was
I
in
mean,
1994, as I mentioned.
yeah, but then the NWO, he was in the NWO for a minute
He
there.
was, yes, he
That's what
was
I'm
what.
saying. Yeah.
Yes, he was also one of the original members of the NWO Wolfpack because he had gotten disgruntled with some of the rules that Hulk Hogan was laying out at that time, along with Kevin Nash.
His black and white NWO attire with the lightning bolts, that shit was badass. That
Paul
was one of
3,
the
I
most.
cannot believe you're not shitting on WCW. Like, bro, WCW in 98, 99, Paul 3, we were like 7 or 6 years old. Like, bro, that was our life, man. That was my life.
I
Yeah.
loved Goldberg, bro. I loved Goldberg back
Oh,
in
he
the
was
day.
badass to the core. They had whoever
Giant
the worst
thing.
thing, one of the things that really messed up WCW ratings wise was messing up Goldberg's winning streak. That was one of the
Yeah,
big. That was a big letdown on the company there. They should have continued that for God knows how long to the very end, and he should
Scott
have
Hall.
kept that going on in when he joined the WWE.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I'll tell you a personal story real quick about WCW and just about my life real quick. When
Hmm.
I was like a young kid there, like '99 ish, I was involved in like a pretty bad accident.
Mm.
Okay, and one of
Wow,
my friends also was involved in it, and he died in the accident.
wow.
Like
Sorry
a
to hear
car
that, man.
accident?
No, it was like I don't want to get into it too much, but it was like
Well, no,
offer.
like,
It was like an off-road vehicle, okay, and it was just a
Wow.
bad accident. And
oh, okay.
Sorry to hear that, man. My condolences.
I, yeah, I really had to learn a lot about like life and death a lot at a young age like that. But anyway, the thing that I put in his casket and that must have got buried with him was this Goldberg figure because we loved
Wow.
wrestling.
Uh-huh.
It was huge, dude. It was like a foot, dude, and it was made out of really hard plastic and it moved and shit. It was like a mega figure of Goldberg, but I'll never forget that. Like I just figured I'd share that. So when I think of WCW, I always somehow fucking think of that. It's fucked up.
Well, no, people did watch both.
Hmm.
People had their sides.
Yes.
No, I can't tell you what made me start watching WWE. I do remember all that though. I remember like Chris
Yeah,
Jericho, the Y2J thing going on. I remember all that
Yes.
distinctly. I remember all the Rock stuff when the Rock was super white hot.
Did you ever
I
check
remember
out
all that.
Jericho when he was with WCW prior to joining
Yeah, I
the
do remember
WWF?
Jericho with. I do remember him. I remember Eddie Guerrero in WCW. I remember Ultimo
All the
Dragon
loopholes he
distinctly.
was coming up with in his bouts with against Dean Malenko. You remember those?
I never
yeah,
seen a WCW event though
had the
live.
big like list where he was reading off all the moves that Dean Malenko said he could do because he was the man of 1,000 holds,
Yes.
and Jericho was reading a bunch of like holds off of
Yeah, I
other
remember
wrestlers
that.
and shit.
That was kind of funny, but yet that idea of Jericho turning heel out of frustration gave him a good edge. It gave him a name. Sometimes I guess you have to go bad in order to do good, as one of our wrestling shows put it. What do you?
Yeah,
What
too.
were you? When I mentioned, do you think the NWO and the Sting? What people think about the NWO, Andy Crow Sting at that time, because both were anti-establishment figures. I mean, like Sting was his anti-hero, but yet a hero who dressed in black, kind of like the Crow character. And yet the NWO were these ruckus, rabble-rousing sons of bitches, causing terror and mischief everywhere they went. And and at that time, anti-establishment was the main thing. You know, do you think those were the reasons why those two took off so big like it did around that period? Because the '90s itself was anti-establishment, as we mentioned earlier in the program.
Yeah, I never looked at Sting as anti-establishment really. Personally, I just looked at Sting as like a whiny like little bitch basically. Like I didn't
Mm.
care back in the as like a fan. I loved
What?
the oh yeah, I
Was
did
this
not
the
look at
color Sting, the Bart Simpson haircut he had, or when he became the Crow?
the Crow. I see
Ah,
the Surfer Sting. I wasn't really watching then. I didn't start watching
Mm,
at least WWF till right before like WrestleMania 14, Austin versus Michaels. So
hmm
that's when I actually started watching, not like going back
Yo,
and
who's
rewatching.
this? Who's this character? I can't figure this out. Who this is? I'm sending a picture.
hmm
Now, obviously, we know Sting wore white paint in WCW, but there's another character that wore white paint.
hmm
Vampiro, bro.
Yes.
Is that who that is? All right.
Vampiro with the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Paul 3, what do you got to be having some smug fucking answer like that? Like, what do you mean? Like, we should, like, every wrestling fan knows that, you think?
Well, I would say yeah, because Vampiro kind of
Ah,
like had like a resurgence and he had I think he was in Lucha
no.
Underground. He has like
Yeah, that's Vampiro right there. And credit to Vampiro. He brought along members of the legendary Misfits onto WCW's territory. I mean, the Misfits considered one of the biggest horror punk rock bands out there. Glenn Danzig was involved in that group in the early years, around the 1980s there. Their last performances was in my hometown of Detroit, Michigan, 1983, the venue called the Greystone. Now, the Misfits at that time, they had a different singer, Michael Graves, I believe was his name. I remember seeing them perform at this some festival a couple years earlier in Pontiac, Michigan.
He
And
still performs. My band is opening for him on Halloween this
hmm,
year.
oh wow, Glenn Dancing,
No, for Michael Graves.
Michael Graves. Okay,
What?
Michael Graves, he
Yeah,
was the singer for the Misfits.
Are
yeah.
you fucking
Big,
serious?
Yes.
yeah. Saturday
And
night, big
here's
upper.
something else you may remember. Jerry Only, the bass player and current vocalist for the Misfits, he did a wrestling match on Monday Night Show at one point.
Yeah, yeah, that is awesome. I do remember that. Jerry Only is fucking jacked, and
Yeah.
actually their
And Doyle
guitar.
von Frankenstein, the guitar player, he's mega jacked.
I said, well, I was about to say Boss
Wow,
Gang Gang.
dude. Yes,
Yeah,
wow.
Doyle was fucking jacked. But you know, the Misfits reunited, so Glenn is singing with them now.
Good. I want to
Still,
see. I want to see them play live. I wasn't able to last time because of my scheduling conflict at my job.
Really?
Yes. In fact, they did a show here in Florida with Megadeth.
that would have been awesome,
And I
dude.
think
Oh.
it's, I think it's fairly cheaper too on that, on the
Mm.
Misfit shows.
My first show ever, I played a Misfits song.
The most popular shirt next to Iron Maiden for a rock shirt is the Misfits. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. What do
And
you think?
you know where they got that figure from? The skull face with the hood on it. The Crimson Ghost, film series from the 1930s or 40s. I mentioned this to
Like
you
you do
one.
see, like
Yes.
Paul 3, like you do see, like both of y'all do see like a lot of AC/DC shirts. That's a big one, a lot of Metallica. But like I feel like Iron Maiden,
Iron Man,
Misfits.
Misfits, yeah,
Zeppelin.
Megadeth,
I see.
Vic Rattlehead.
You see a lot of Zeppelin.
Yeah, I see
Yes,
a
It's
lot of
different. There's more northern people up north that like Zeppelin. Like there's a lot of AC/DC down here for some reason.
Beatles shirts too. Like the Beatles, I see a lot of Beatles shirts.
oh yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Well, I see a
Praise the
lot of Rolling
Beatles.
Stones tongues. The tongues. I see those all the time. You know what I
But I'm
mean?
Gibson shirt.
Yes.
Look at Paul 3.
But you know about WCW, what was cool about them is not only the Misfits got involved, but Kiss got involved as well.
Yes, Bruce
They had a
brought them in because he was a big Kiss fan, and that's where we saw the
I remember
Demon
that. I
Wrestler.
remember that distinctly. The demon.
Yes,
The demon.
yes, yes.
yeah,
He was played by a wrestler named Dale Torborg, who was a big Kiss fan,
yeah,
and his job was to represent Kiss. Now, of course,
yep.
him and Vampiro will have a few bouts together against one another. You know, that was kind of an interesting gimmick, no doubt about that. And I guess he had to add some white stripes on each side of his hair so people will not confuse him for the real Gene Simmons.
Oh, that's
In fact,
hilarious. Yeah, that was
here's something else. He would later meet a female wrestler who was named Asia, who was their spinoff of China. Yes, exactly. They came up with Asia, and she was involved with the Revolution featuring Malenko, Saturn, Guerrero, and Benoit. And she would later hook up with Dale Torberg, and they would become husband and wife, and they're still married to this very day.
Wow.
Yeah,
Professional wrestling rock and roll love story. Doesn't get much better than
that's
that.
it. Exactly. Now, did you watch WCW when Vince Russo was involved with that company? First with the Powers That Big period, and then later with Bischoff with the New Blood period. Did you watch
I,
any of those eras of WCW?
I did, but that's when it really started to fell off, and also fall off, and also that's when I was like, I was probably maybe like 11 or 10 around then. So I didn't even understand so much that Russo was like some revered writer at all. So I thought he was just like a douchebag on screen, and I couldn't really
Well,
follow
that
any
was
of.
Russo. That he was meant to be like that to get you to hate him. So the more despicable you are in the ring, the more people will pay money to see you get your ass kicked by the big wrestling hero. That's how it usually goes. Now
Yeah,
Russo, we know the story how Russo got involved with WCW. He had left the WWF in 1999 after Owen Hart's death, but the reason was not Owen Hart. It was because Russo was a little bit wore out. He needed a vacation. He needed some time off to be with his family. He told Vince McMahon this, and Vince said something kind of very disrespectful. And Russo is Italian, and as everybody knows, family means everything if you're an Italian. Blood comes first. Family comes first. McMahon said to Russo, I don't see what the problem is. You earn enough money. Get a nanny. And Russo took that as a direct insult. And that's when he was on the phone with J.J. Dillon from WCW the very next day. Later on,
yes, yeah,
Ed
yeah.
Ferreira came on board. And I guess around that time, Russo had a very angry vendetta against the WWF because you may remember Ed Ferreira came on as his Jim Ross spinoff named Oklahoma, mocking his Bell's palsy of all things. Ross
Is that
has
who
Bell.
played that character?
Yes, Ed Ferreira. He played Oklahoma.
What?
Yep, that was him.
I remember that character too. I mean,
Yep.
I learned about all this shit afterwards. I think had I known at the time or been like a little older, I would have like maybe appreciated that Vince Russo was there. And yeah, I get the role of a heel. I know all about that, but I just think the context of it at the time I didn't understand, and I was more concerned with like Stone Cold and like DX and that whole like situation that was happening on WWF programming. So I didn't give a fuck about WCW.
now I wonder if like I was 5, 6, 7, 8. I wonder that watching, you know, or I wonder if the age grade 13 and up, 14 and up, watching WCW, the NWO stuff. I wonder if they thought how if that is real or not. Like how real is this right now? Like I wonder because WWE, obviously, I was watching more at that age, the older ages, the
Yes.
raunchiness, watching
Yeah.
South Park and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And, like, which it kind of, that Attitude Era did kind of, was a magnet towards that, like, you know, era.
Yeah.
Like, like
The new metal,
Jackass was coming
the new
out,
metal,
like a whole new
new metal.
metal.
Yep. Like
Paul 3 bought his first base. Like, you know what I'm saying?
bands
Not
like
if that.
Disturbed, Korn, Limp
Limp
That
Bizkit.
Bizkit.
Paul 3, that was a better time than now, like 99, 2000. Like, I'd take that over this time.
99,000, bro. I was fucking, yeah, I was jamming Weezer. I was jamming fucking Kid Rock. I was jamming Eminem, Limp Bizkit, all that
Bro, I
shit.
bought
I
some
had
cargo shorts this weekend, man. Like, all that's coming back.
2004, bro. Yo, I had cargo shorts down to my fucking, like almost my ankle and shit, bro. I had
What's
Vans.
it called? Jingle jeans. The jeans that had that were like
Brian, you
tree
used to wear,
trunks.
Brian,
I,
you ever wear shorts?
I do not
I
wear
just
JNCO.
I didn't wear cargo shorts. I wear regular shorts.
You do wear shorts now?
I
Interesting.
did, yes, but I didn't wear any
Like,
cargo
are they above
shorts.
the knee? Are they above your knee or below the knee?
They were like they're right by the knee. That was about it.
See, that's what I did. Yeah, that's
I would have
appropriate.
real long
Paul 3's
shorts.
wearing damn baggy ones down to his ankles. Paul 3,
I
come
had
on.
really long shorts and then really long socks. I'd wear like really, really fucking long socks. Like I don't know why. It was like a whole look. It was kind of like a skater type look and shit. But it was like a weird hybrid thing. I don't know. But no, I never wore Jinko jeans. I never wore like goth
Neither,
clothing or any shit
neither
like
I.
that.
I never wore jingle jeans myself because, like, why? Me and my old girlfriend used to make fun of people who wore those things. But like, what you got underneath those pant legs? It's like you're hiding
What?
some. Yeah, we did because they were so damn big. When you walked, they saw like a one-man band.
Yeah, we tell like we'd make fun of the goth kids and be like, "What, you got a fucking shotgun under those fucking pants? Like, what do you think
Well,
you're
those were
guns?"
mostly the dark new. Those kids we used to call the Marilyn Hanson kids because they were young. They're about 13, 14. You know, they were getting into the stuff like Disturbed, Marilyn Manson. It was kind of spit off of the the three brothers known as Hanson. Remember them by chance?
Yeah, Hanson and Bob, that shit's terrible.
I know. I agree. I couldn't stand that myself. So one of we used to call them the Marilyn Hanson because he was their kids trying to look like Marilyn Manson, but not doing a good job at it.
Yeah, the whole
With
goth
the,
thing.
I mean,
One band that I like out of the goth scene that I went back and found was Typo Negative, and I think we mentioned
mm,
here.
yeah,
I really like.
they were more traditional goth. That's for sure. Mixing with some heavy metal
Brian,
alongside.
you would put Ministry in the goth category.
More like goth industrial.
Like goth people would
Goth
be in that
industrial
pantheon.
metal. Goth industrial slash metal.
I went to
Because,
Spencer's the other day, and as I was walking out, there was two goth, I guess women or something.
God ladies, yes.
Black. I mean, I'm talking the whole deal, Brown. Black lipstick and everything. I almost said something like, "Ooh, scary," or so. I don't know. Would goth people be offended?
Well, they probably shrug it off, saying, "Oh, that's a normal guy for you."
Nah, like not to be an asshole, like just to like be like just like funny or something. I don't know. Like it freaked me out at first. Like I know people dress. I have nothing against people that dress like that. Like, but they had the lipstick, the black lipstick, and everything, bro. Like just popped out of nowhere on me. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
With the
You open
fucking
Spencer. You know how
ball.
Spencer's is like
Yes,
tight and shit. Like it's a
yeah,
smaller
exactly.
store.
Yes, it's like they're kind of. I remember Joe Crow had talked about them trying to out dark Hot Topic at that time.
I mean, like Spencer's basically is Hot Topic. Like Hot Top, what really is
Hot
Hot
Topic
Topic now? Like
2.0, basically.
Hot Topic has like shirt, like a bunch of band shirts, like whatever. They have a bunch of pop
Whole bunch.
vinyls.
Yes,
That's kind of about it. That's really it. Like like in Spencer's, they have all kinds of cool stuff in there. Like Spencer's is pretty cool. Like it's pretty
including
goofy. You know what I'm
lingerie
saying?
for the females. A lot of
Now,
sexual
like
stuff there as well.
They got some funny
uh,
ass shirts there now.
They
It's like
do,
I love milk,
yes.
shit like that, like world's biggest box shirts and shit. It's
Dr.
ridiculous.
Brown, Dr. Brown, have you ever worn like men's lingerie before?
Never, didn't need to. Never
Like
did.
gothic chains and stuff,
No,
or
no,
nothing homosexual, not like that, but like
none of
like
that.
gothic, sexual, kinky stuff.
Well, the thing is,
Here we go.
the stuff I would wear is I drift towards the more trench coat Victorian side.
So you're not into spikes or chains or nothing like metal or
Not
anything.
really, but I do know that my nephew a couple years back gave me this it was a black vest. It was a black denim vest. It had a little, not real big spikes, but little studs on them. And I'm thinking about making that into a trench coat, getting that to a nearby tailor place and having that done soon there.
Trench coats also freak people out pretty bad though. Just like take off shit. Trench coats also scare people. It's like a it's
That's,
a
well, you
Paul
can
three,
put,
have you ever had a Paul three? Have you ever had a cavity before?
yeah, I have. My teeth are all good now. I'm just
I mean,
just miss
like what have you had? Like what happens when you get that? Would you do to fix that?
I
go,
think I got them filled.
yeah.
So what does that mean when you get them filled? Like, because I think I'm gonna have to have that happen soon. So that's why I'm asking.
It depends how bad it is. So like they could just put like some filling in there and you'll be all good and they'll clear it up, you'll be fine. Or if it's like really, really bad, they have to do a root canal and like dig the middle of your tooth out and
Mm,
then like put some shit up in there and then pack it. And then it's
yes, and
basically
do not smoke.
uh,
Do not smoke cigarettes when you have those done because that could cause what is I forgot what it's called,
it's
but it
dry
is
socket,
painful to deal with.
dry socket. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, there.
For
It'll
how
be
long?
like a couple days. See, what I did was I vaped. I have like a vape with a straw
Mm.
that's off. It's like auto, so I don't have to actually like suck or breathe in. So I was just kind of like breathing like normal, and it's pushing it out. But yeah, you don't want to like hit anything.
Well, it's not like in the middle. I have a little hole on the crown, on the corner of my tooth, on the top.
They
There's no
might
pain.
be able to split some shit in there, and then you'll be good.
Okay, so let me ask Paul this question about WCW. Um,
Yeah, do
did
they
you
have
ever
a dental
did
plan there, by the way? At
Did you ever
WCW?
watch the New Blood period when both Bischoff and Russo was involved? Because between the powers that be and the New Blood segments, WCW let go of Russo, and then they decided to go back to the good guy versus bad guy format, and that's when the ratings really tanked. And I guess Bill Bush, the guy who was running WCW at that time, the head honcho, he decided, hey, we need some help here. Let's get both Bischoff and Russo together because they both brought in the ratings. And that's when they came up with the new blood segment. Everybody, oh, that's when the the only problem I had with that was that each week the bad guys was prevailing over the good guys. So it would be nice if one week the good guys prevail, and the next week the bad guys prevail, and you all could duke it out in the nearby pay-per-view that they would have.
What that era reminds me of is like kind of like AEW almost is now. I don't want to say AEW is that bad because I'm actually looking forward to watching AEW tonight. I don't have band practice. I can watch it
Right,
live. It starts in 15 minutes, but that reminds me of when a company, fucking bug just landed on me, was
I know.
trying to do every possible thing to entertain, trying to just get ratings, trying to put on good shows,
That's true.
but it
That was Russo's motive at that time.
but it just didn't work. That was the thing. Just like AEW is really trying anything right now, things aren't working. It's not translating. But you know what I will say about WCW is I don't think the ratings ever dipped, excuse me, below like to where, you know, AEW is at now, 700,000. Like WCW's ratings, well, more people were watching TV back then, but the ratings were still, I think, pretty good. It was more of a like corporate power play and like also insiders who didn't like wrestling
Yeah,
and the
yes, AOL. They were not involved. They didn't want nothing to do with wrestling when Time Warner merged with that company. And I guess they decided, hey, let's kill off WCW and let's just end it there altogether. That's when it was bought up by Vince McMahon at the World Wrestling Federation, and iconic that they even had a little. They had Shane McMahon come out during the Monday Night Show and made the announcement that he was the owner of the WCW instead of Vince. It was at the same time that Nitro and Raw were both broadcasting. So that episode would definitely was most unique for both companies.
yeah, I watched it live that night for sure. I remember that very, very well. But
I will
yeah,
say this. I will say this. I was not able to really watch WCW when Bischoff departed again. Then was Vince Russo ready to hold thing all together. And the ideas that were coming up left and right, right and left was like, oh, come on. It was like, it just became unwatchable, unfortunately. But I think, what do you think about this? There was one year where they lost about, I guess it was $65 million, if I'm correct. And it's because of the merger with Time Warner and AOL. If I'm trying to remember how much some of money that they lost, but they lost that amount of money, I guess, in the year 2000.
Jeez, man, yeah, that's insane. I mean, again, I think ratings were still decent. They were probably still selling merch, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I think there's just a lot of corporate like bullshit that went on
That's
behind
what
WC.
that may be the other issue, and what really made it worse is that the f- some of the bad decisions that they were making at that time, like, and there were a lot of foul ups. Believe it or not, there was a part where Kevin Nash was standing in the ring, and some fake blood was supposed to spill upon him. And guess what? The fake blood spilled, but it missed Nash by this much. That was
Yeah,
embarrassing to look at. And there was this matchup between the Warrior, aka the Ultimate Warrior, and Hulk Hogan during one pay-per-view event. And the person was running the pyrotechnics screwed up. I don't know if it was a flaw or whichever it was, but the pyrotechnics didn't start until Warrior started running to the ring to wrestle Hogan, as he usually used to do back in the WWF. I mean, Tony Schiavone made a comment about that. That was a big mess up in later interviews.
yeah, it got really bad. Judy Bagwell on a pole, like all kind of
I
weird.
know. That was like, what the hell is up with that, man? For crying out loud.
Chucky getting
Joe
involved with
Cronin,
like Steiner. It was
Joe Cronin on a pole match.
Oh, dude. I'm surprised
no.
Krona is not on this call here.
Brown, what do you look put you on Paul 3? How much time longer do you have with us, Paul 3, tonight?
I have 12 minutes.
All right, so let
Right.
me Paul 3, Dr. Brown, I really don't appreciate you being on Ken's show last night. Why'd you have to do that, man?
What's wrong with that?
You're just sitting there like a damn owl. You didn't say
Well, so
nothing for
well,
two
well,
hours.
why did, well, well, that's one of the you need to
No,
talk.
I'm just fucking. I'm just playing with you. You were good last night. I'm just fucking around.
Mm, no,
It was
no,
nice. You were
dude,
good.
don't do that.
Yeah, it was
Anyways,
a good show. No, it was
it
fun.
was, yes. It
There
would be
you go.
nice to have Ken on the program discussing this topic. I know that.
Nice. He's too good for us, brother. Too good for us.
Yeah, if Joe wants to join, I mean, anytime. I think me and Joe are cool now. I
That's
mean,
good.
I'm not looking for him or anything.
No, nah, you y'all aren't cool. What happened on the? We
Well,
haven't
like
been we haven't
happened
talked
on.
drama in a while. But go ahead, man.
I was on Monetize this. I don't know, two
Nice.
weeks. I had an amazing show, one of the best shows I had in a long time or ever. It was incredible. So anyway, I get a Discord message saying, "At everyone, join, monetize this, da da da." So I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna hop in there and just say what's up and be completely cool, not be a dickhead." Well, I went in there. I was in there for a while, and then Joe kind of pointed me out in the chat or in the call that I was there, and like, what am I doing? Started playing back some old clips of me in character, kind of talking shit, just like being a heel, and what could I do? I was kind of at the mercy of the clips at that point, but I don't know. I kind of provide a little bit of entertainment, I think, and there were some comments after in the chat or on the video, backing me up. But anyway,
Brian, it was pretty good. Like Joe doesn't like Paul 3.
well,
Basically,
listen,
like I wouldn't say that Joe has
Why
any
not?
already for anyone that comes on his show. Basically, he'll
we
play
had a whole
clips, make you look
out.
bad, and
We had a
fuck
whole
around.
falling out, and I didn't know, dude. He pulled these clips up in a heartbeat. I'm like, where the how did he have a folder like with these clips in him, like
They're deep.
labeled?
They're like this thing we're buying these deep fake clips that make you
Yeah,
sound bad, and you know.
Yeah,
no,
he did
no,
that with me.
really, holy shit, bro, that's
I mean,
crazy.
it's really y'all's talking, but it's like he clips it in a way where it makes y'all sound like, you know what I'm
Like a
saying?
psycho or a
No.
monster or anything. He did that with me a couple years ago.
Well, anyway, listen. So that happened, and he actually ended up banning me from the um from the Discord and kicking me out of the call, so I didn't go back. Anyway, I followed up with Jake DeMarco, and I had sent Joe a couple messages on Discord, and
Hmm.
actually it took a couple of days, but Joe said something I can't remember verbatim. I don't like quote him, but it seemed like we were all right. It seemed like we're kind of burying the hatchet, and maybe he might invite me back to the Discord, and maybe I'll be back on there here and there. But really, I ain't
Oh,
I'm
y'all kind of like smooth things over after.
I mean, like I was very, very, very willing to smooth things over with him and be cool with him. It was because, well, I can say names on here. It was because that Tony was on the call when we were doing the Brothers
Joe
Treehouse.
can't have his Joe doesn't want his donators knowing he's talking to people, others, and you know what I
Well,
mean. I think that's what it boils down to.
he doesn't want anybody on his call who talks to Tony. That's really, I
Oh
think, the
wow.
main. I think that is the main thing that is
Stony
the
Tony?
problem. Yes, I think
Oh
that is the
wow.
main problem. I'm kind of just, I'm not saying I have a problem with Tony, but I'm just respecting Joe's kind of thing because what Tony did was fucked up, and I
Mm.
don't agree with it. So I'm just kind of respecting that, and maybe I'll be back on monetize this here and there once in a while. So it's not trying
Yeah,
to
Brian, we got to get you on. We got to get you on monetize this a little bit more, brother.
Sometime,
yeah,
yeah.
But
definitely.
tomorrow, well, y'all guys need to watch episode 2 of the WCW. It's on
I know.
YouTube.
All right, nice. I'll
But
look for
tomorrow we have the music show.
Music Maniacs. And we got to
We
have
do
you
have
back, definitely.
Paul 3. We might. Do we have an announcement from you tomorrow, or are you keeping that?
You mean the show? I thought I had mentioned that.
Yes. Nah, but it's confirmed now.
Yeah, sure. I'll plug it tomorrow. No
Definitely
problem.
That'll be
do
pretty
so.
good,
Yes,
guys. Big
yes.
announcement tomorrow. We got the rock news, and we're talking Sabbath tomorrow.
Yeah, entering the Billboard charts again.
Wow.
So definitely will be the so definitely go ahead.
The 1976 album entry into my asshole. Black
Oh
Sabbath.
gosh,
Nah.
I knew he was gonna. Anyways, so I guess it's in all, let me say this: WCW could have rose to big ass potential if there wasn't for mishandling, bad bookings, bad decisions, so bad management. I mean, like, let me say this about Eric Bischoff. Yeah, he came up with some good ideas, but the problem was he also spent possibly too much money on the contracts of these wrestlers. I mean, like the offer he made to Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, Hogan, and everybody else. And let's not forget Hulk Hogan's politics played a big part of it as well. But the thing was, if things were run a lot more different within that company ranks, WCW would still be around. No doubt about that.
It's, you know what, if they were able to be privately owned by, like if Bischoff was able to buy the company when that all happened, you might be right. But as far as it stands with the corporation and all the big wigs in business and being involved and having their hands in that, it was never going to last because in corporate media, no matter what, shit goes away. Television anchors, they throw them away like that. Radio people, be there for,
Disposable.
get out of here. Yep, that's just what it is. So, I mean, that's what you get with corporations. If
Yeah.
it was owned by Bischoff, you might be right.
All right. So I guess if it's to say that, the time we watched WCW will never be forgotten. It was a lot of great memories with that company, that's for sure. From Hogan becoming the bad guy, the NWO, the Crow Sting,